Welcome back. Thank you for joining us for a Sit and Learn webinar series. This is our 12th episode over the years, and we're bringing it back. 2018 has a lot of great goals and missions for us. Today, we're going to be talking about search engine optimization and why your website is losing you business. Many of the things that I'm going to talk about today pertain to the idea that there are things that are wrong with websites out there, probably because, as I'll go through, they were designed by different types of people with different goals in mind. So without waiting on too many more people, looks like we're still having a couple join. Go ahead and let you know that my name is Lucas Schaefer. I am the creative director and owner of Stand and Stretch. And today we're going to be going through probably less than an hour of learning about websites and what makes search engine optimization work, and ultimately what is going to either help you grow your business or at the end of the game, maybe lose business. So let's get started. Today, I'm going to start talking about a little bit about stats. I want to show you guys a little bit about what's going on in the world. Every year, there's always this scare or warning that there are exterior forces such as Google coming into play, that it's going to change or predict or move the needle, and that really gets anybody who's doing search engine optimization kind of caught up in their own world. Today I'm going to show you those stats and just kind of give you a peek at why it's important to have search engine optimization. Then I'm going to spend some time talking about why websites suck, and quite frankly some of them do, very much so. Whether they're older websites and not ready to be looked at by Google today, or they were designed by a graphic artist or just a programmer, I'm going to talk about some things that you can do to look at a website to tell whether or not you have a good, well-done website. And then I'm going to bring to the forefront the three principles for search engine optimization. I've been doing search engine optimization for about 12 years now. And as I've coasted in and out of calling myself an expert, a curator, or any type of lenient version of search engine optimization service provider, I can tell you it comes down to three major categories for any website, and I'm going to go through those. So that's going to be the fun part. And then along the way, I'm going to be talking about examples. Also, just for those who have a moment to go ahead and snap a picture with your mobile phone, maybe go to Facebook, find us at facebook.com/standandstretch, or as you can see, the Instagram over there at Stand and Stretch. Grab a picture, post something nice along the way. I'm sure we'll have some great content that you'll want to share and talk to other people about. All right, great. So the crew today we're going to have on our call, we have Frances helping out on the back end. She's sort of monitoring and checking for questions. This is a good time to take note of your interface. If you're looking up, I believe in the top left corner, you'll see some kind of structure. I think it's black. And if you see the structure, click the raise your hand button. Let me see if anybody's listening out there. Yep. All right. Oh, good. I see some people raising their hands. Congratulations. You have found the interface. Thank you very much. Now, you also see some chat areas. We are monitoring the chat as close as we can. Also into the Q&A area. I would love for you guys to ask questions as we go along. This is an open dialogue. As I talk, I'm more than willing to pause and sort of dig a little deeper. You'll find out that I'm not going to get too complicated today. However, I'm going to talk about some subject matters that do have some technical skills. So I'm going to help Frances as much as I can answer, and she's talking to the team or to everybody. I hope people may or may not see that. As we move along, though, please let me know if you have any questions and we can go from there. So now that you've seen the crew, meet the family. And if you live around Columbus or in this region, you'll know the recent snowstorm has hit, and we've got some really cool pictures that we took of our little youngest Rhett there in the middle. He's a fantastic little fella. I got 3 boys and my wife Whitney there. So always love to kind of show off the family in situations like this. So they're really cool. Broughton is up in the right, and Gus down there at the bottom right. He's our oldest. Very cool snow day. Very happy baby. And then meet the extended family. These are the people that I think are amazing. They help us do so many different things. Everybody in here has so many skill sets. Everything from graphic artist to web designer, programmer, public relations, copywriting, illustration, video editing. It just goes on and on and on. I rely on these fantastic people to help stand and stretch. I think the last count was up to 19 people on our team who help us move in the directions of our goals and mission, and they're much appreciated by me, and I know that we're all having lots of fun right now. It's a new year, new goals, so they're fantastic people. I hope you get a chance to meet them. All right, so let's talk about it. The stats that go for search engine optimization. I've grabbed a couple of things that I thought were very important, although I know that I didn't get them all. For instance, in 2017, Google accounted for over 79% of all global desktop search traffic. This is a big deal because when we're doing search engine optimization, we're not looking at Bing. And I'm sorry, Bing. And I'm sorry, SEO purist. Bing is cool. I like Bing. But Bing, you can just have whatever you want and get to it. We design websites thinking about Google. We design our SEO and program our SEO thinking about Google all the time. Even one of their search quality senior strategists have denoted that high quality content and link building are the two most important signals used by content to rank your website. Now, this is great because what we're talking about in this webinar today is high quality content. And then the idea of link building, as we move along, I'll talk about that. But link building is sort of an external force. You either have to promote your content to get those links, or hopefully write most remarkable content that is shareable, and then that creates those links back to you. So that's great. So at the end of the day, we've got some more here. Hang on one second here. The average first page result on Google contains roughly about 1,800 words. Now let's keep in mind that this is an average and Google contains a lot of websites. So if you start to think about the positioning of yourself in I have to write 1,800 words on each page, it's not really the truth. What it's really saying is that when you look at content, we're looking at every part of the website. They're looking at the headers, they're looking at the meta descriptions, they're looking at the content on the page. And when you look at on-site SEO, you're looking at somewhere around 1,800 words for each page. When you look at the changes in the market for 2016-17 and including this month, HubSpot mentions that 61% of their marketers say they're working on their search engine optimization. Not only that, but it is also their top marketing priority. And a couple of discussions prior to this webinar, which I think next time we're going to make public, which will be a sort of a wind up to the webinar, is that what is priority? If you're not getting into the search engine traffic and ranking your website into those high positions, how are you getting traffic to your website? And some of those other opportunities out there exist, but I'm not so certain that the time spent or money spent on those are going to have the best outcome. Not everybody can be number one in the search engine results, but if you are, congratulations. That is a fantastic place to be. So more stats, and I got a couple more here. WordStream, fantastic company, specializes in PPC, which is pay-per-click advertising, better known as Google AdWords, and a couple of other platforms that perform those same similar services. They said that 72% of consumers who did a local search visited the store within 5 miles. Now, if you know anything about small business, and hopefully most of us are, you will understand this as most of the people who come into our stores or visit our stores or do business with us are located pretty close to us. And then, for example, if you own a fitness company and you do, let's say, CrossFit, and you have a box, which is collectively, a gym, you'll note that most of the people that come to your gym, 95% of them all live probably within walking distance or within a half mile. And then as you stretch that out, you start getting into a diameter that gets a little bit, people will travel to do that business. But at the same time, this is interesting because as search continues to grow for Google, mobile search is defining this type of local search parameter. The near me searches have increased 2 times over the past year. There was once upon a time where in 2010, 2011, we did a webinar on the oncoming surge of mobile usage. And we talked about, even at that time, you can imagine, we've over the past 8 years, we've seen the traversal of it being 80% desktop to now being over 80-90% mobile searches. And this is just one of those markers that says, looking for a plumber near me, looking for this near me. These are terms that are classified as geolocation in most SEO outcomes, but Search Engine Watch is reporting that they've doubled. Okay, so this is the big one I wanted to kind of talk about and sort of end our session on stats. In 2018, the average firm expected to allocate 40% of their marketing budget to online. It's great because if you think about total advertising budgets, 100% of the budget, well, they're still spending 59% on what we would call traditional advertising, billboards, radio, TV, things like that. This rate is expected to grow over the next 3 or 4 years. However, search engine marketing, which could be in either SEO or SEM or any kind of PPC, will capture the largest share of online spend, with the online display taking the largest second part of that share. And that display being very important because that also contains things like retargeting, which will be one of our next webinars coming up. We're going to dive into retargeting and its advantages for small business. And then we're also going to do one on blogging as well. So this one really touched me because I think when you look at search engine marketing and how much you're spending on your overall marketing, if you're not focusing on search engine optimization and getting to a higher regard in your localized business, your regional business, and you're not number one for the items that you service or the products that you sell, then you don't have an opportunity to win this easy business. Now, there is an investment, and of course, there always is, but we'll get to talking about that in just a minute. So before you start thinking about sending all of your dollar bills into the SEO nether, into the place where we send all of our money to in the marketing place, you've got to take a couple of decisions into account. And I'm going to give you some things to think about here. Now, as we might be providers of search engine optimization, you might think of yourself and say, well, my business isn't doing well. Why is that? Well, my website was built this year. It was built 3 years ago. It was built 5 years ago. And man, it looks great. Foundationally, people like it. It already does pretty well in the search results. Well, those 3 categories kind of fall into something that I'm going to talk about next. So when we look at why most websites suck at SEO, there's normally a very good reason. They're either created by one of these people, but not really all of them. And if you think about this, it's very easy to explain. In our world, in the creative world at Stand and Stretch, we typically have these roles, and they play a major part in any website design and development process. A graphic artist, which every company needs a great graphic artist. A web designer, somebody who I classify as a bricklayer. We have the graphic artist who is the brick maker. We have the web designer who's the bricklayer. Those 2 people are elementary. They're different. They're different on all different levels. And when you look at how they perceive the world, they're also different. So when you ask a graphic artist who says they can do web design to create something, what happens, right? Like, what do you get from a graphic artist who does a web design? And what happens when a web designer does graphic art? I mean, that's their key thing, right? A web designer does a website, and it's great, right? Well, what about a programmer I mean, I spent probably from 2003 to 2009 becoming a programmer, 8 hours a day in a web programming environment, and I can tell you that it changed the way I think about web design entirely. I built my first website in 1997, so that was the web designer aspect, and I think if you try to classify me as a graphic artist, I fail miserably, but I can fake it until I make it, kind of thing, right? So what are you talking about here, Lucas? So most of the websites that we see today are normally defined by one of these roles or all three. Specifically, the graphic artists, this is easy to spot. They build a website, and man, it looks great, but it doesn't function properly. Like, you might even find out that something doesn't work, but still it looks great. And by first looks, first glance, first impression, the graphic artist has nailed the look, the feel, the wow factor. It looks great. It's fantastic. However, when they filled out that form, it didn't integrate with my CRM system, and the graphic artist shrugs and says, well, it looks great, right? That's what you bought. You paid for it. It looks great. The web designer. This is a fantastic view of the world. The website looks good. You've heard a lot of cool terms like UX and UI, which stand for user experience and user interface. However, the site lacks the wow factor. I mean, it looks good, right? The layout's fine. It's mobile responsive. The web designer has checked all the things that are important for the web designer. It looks good. But when it came down to the development of the site, it falls behind. It doesn't score well on search engine optimization. It might lack some of those nuances that a graphic artist would have put together. And then you have the programmer. And by any means, the programmer probably didn't have a lot of inspiration other than writing beautiful, clean code, right? And so the site looks horrible. And we've seen sites like this. Man, that site sucks. But guess what? It integrates well with your point of sale system. That's right. Inside the store is functioning well. Your SEO is growing. The programming's there. The programmer was smart, knew that the SEO had to be done right, but just didn't really give a hoot about how it looked. And we've seen sites like this. Most of the time, they're doctors' websites that are controlled by HIPAA or OSHA or any kind of public municipal website, right? They look very drab, but they're secure, right? So the programmer would be worried about security. They work, and at some point the municipality pays for things that work, not things that are beautiful, right? Okay, so you kind of get where I'm coming at here. So the best part is that Stand and Stretch, we have all three. So when we talk about these subjects, we pull together the environments that the graphic artist does. We lay them out like the web designer, and then we have the programming that fits. And when you look at these structures and we dive into search engine optimization next, we're going to have an idea of, okay, well, I can look at my website today and I can tell you, okay, yeah, I've had some trouble, and I can totally tell that the company that I hired was a web design company, or was a graphic artist company, or was a programming company. But what happens when you put all those together, right? So that's what we'll foundationally talk about next. So, great. We understand that websites can be developed by different people. We have opportunities that are missed by some different types of developers. When you look at the overall health of a website and you start to look at, okay, well, it was built by a web designer, it was built by a graphic artist, it was built by a programmer. Any one of those people can take these three simple principles, which I'm going to go to in detail. All this has been to prime you for this incredible detail that I'm about to go through and show you about why websites aren't working well for the businesses that they've had built for, and how you can look at defining a plan to getting your site back in order and putting together a winning search engine optimization a project for your website. So after 8 years and I believe over 180 websites, we have narrowed our search engine optimization services down to three simple concepts. And these principles all revolve around site health, keyword research, and competitive analysis. And I'm going to drill those 3 words into your head here today, because at the end of the day, number 1, site health is the key for great search engine optimization. The keyword research takes a little bit of a flamboyant talent to know about keyword structures and these things. And we'll talk a little bit about that and how we've made that easy. The competitive analysis, basically competitive analysis can be summed up to how creepy can you be? How often do you go to your competitors' websites and refresh the screen? How often do you visit their Facebook pages and look at their posts? Do you mimic their posts? Do you go, hey, my competitor just put up a billboard, I should put up billboards too? So we do the same thing for search engine optimization. If a client's winning, they're winning search engine optimization. Well, then how can we also win by looking at what they do? Again, everything we're going to view as public data. So I've picked and chosen a couple of websites I think that did great, that were okay, did bad, poorly. But as I go through site health and keyword research and competitive analysis, I want you guys to be thinking about this and looking at your own websites and thinking about ways to change those. I'm drinking a Coke, by the way. So does anybody have any questions? I noticed we've had some more people join us. If you have a question, you should look up in the top right and raise your hand. Those are great opportunities for you to kind of get a break point in here. And we've got a couple of people monitoring. Francis is in the chat area, and you should also see a button that says Q&A. So you feel free to stop me and say, Lucas, why is this important? I don't understand. Whatever it is, don't feel shy. Does everybody understand? Can you show by raising your hand? There we go. Hands are being raised. If you can't find the raise the hand, it's up in the top left of the screen. You should see a little button that says raise your hand. And we got a couple people there. All right. Thank you very much. So as we move forward, like I said, you have the opportunity to look up there. Also, you'll see Q&A. And if you feel like you are up to it, ask some questions. And you can also comment directly to me. So, all right, let's start this path here. So we proudly are partners with a company called SEMRush. And their website is SEMRush.com. I will continually be talking about the things that they are going to provide for us. It is a paid service, so it's not expensive. However, as most things are, it's not so much as what you can see, but what you can do. So a lot of this isn't giving away the creative sauce that we use. However, it is a great precursor to understanding why we're doing what we do. So site health. We look at every website through the eyes of a public audit. And this audit comes from multiple tools. We use over 7 different tools to produce different types of results for our clients. Most importantly, the site audit returns a total score health. And this 80% does denote a few things. It says basically that you have websites on your page and 80% of them are good. However, there is the amount of issues and non-issues that are averaged to create that number. So in the site health section here, we're going to talk about total score. You'll notice that when we look at websites, we crawl all the pages, every single one of them. We crawl the images, we crawl the CSS files, we crawl all the technical things that make websites fantastic. And at the end of the day, we also take a look at what kind of backlinks are toxic and causing issues with your website. If we take a look over to the right side, you'll notice that the underneath the crawled pages 40, you will see a healthy, broken, have issues, redirect. And out of the 40 pages we've crawled, there have been 28 issues that have been detected. So let's talk a little bit more. Let's see. So the total score of the website is based on the found issues of the number of performed checks of the component found. So really what we end up looking at is the highest severity. And as you can see with the website that we were checking on for this SEMRush result, the site health here has shown us that we have errors on the page. And this could be a very pertinent thing. When you look at search engine optimization, Google also sees this. So the next thing we want to do is we want to fix these issues, right? But who knows what a duplicate content issue is, right? This is a subject matter of which we would take our services in, and we would become apparent and aware of what the goals are, how we're going to fix these issues. In some cases, it's rewriting content, because if we have multiple pages that have duplicate content and we're getting hit negatively on Google, I've got to make sure that all the pages have very unique content on those pages. The other error listed here is one of the pages couldn't be crawled. What page is that? I need to identify it and find out why. And then we have one page that doesn't seem to be returning properly and has a 400 status code and some kind of error. Each one of these would be followed up independently by our team and checked to make sure that these pages were fixed very quickly. But the site health originates from all kinds of different things. For instance, when you talk about doing pay-per-click advertising, when you do things with Google AdWords, when you create the campaign and you buy that keyword, and let's say that keyword is hair salon Columbus, Georgia, and I'm buying it, I'm not worried about my website until Google AdWords comes back and says your website shows a low quality score. Now, if I'm buying that keyword and not putting the effort into making my website search engine optimized, the low quality score is because I have these types of errors in the page. And guess what? If I fix these site health errors, I get a higher quality score. So not only does fixing the site health for some of these errors, and I'm going to continue on with the warnings and talk about several of these and show you examples, this kind of effort not only helps for search engine optimization as a whole, but also puts together better landing page quality scores that improve your pay-per-click campaigning. So even if you were doing pay-per-click and buying search engine traffic through Google AdWords, getting your site health up is independently one of the major things you should do today to improve your online search engine marketing campaign. So errors are sort of the big ones, the highest severity. Now, when you look at the duplicate content in any issue, you can see here we've got things that on this website here we've chosen what looks like a local salon. It might have excessive duplicate content that may confuse search engines as to which page to index. That doesn't sound good. The traffic loss and poor placement in search results may be a result of this. And in most cases, these crawlers may flag this and they may not, but too much content, not enough content, and in some cases, duplicate content could also mean blank content. So we would recommend that we would go out to these pages and we would actually look at them independently and look at the on-page words, change them, modify them, make them unique, put in place some content that allows us to have good placement in search results. We would look at keyword research, which is coming up. We're talking about that. In any place, the total score when it comes to duplicate content is always a foundational place to start. If you've got bad web pages and Google is coming to your site and this thing is telling and you've got duplicate content on your site, you've got to fix it immediately. Another cursor of an issue for most people with search engine optimization problems is trying to get a secure website, HTTPS, right? And so we can see here that even though I'm not going to talk too much about SSL security on websites, that is also a negative when it comes to poor placement and traffic loss. So, warnings. So the same website came back with some medium severity detected issues. And honestly, after the errors, we're getting into the nuts and bolts of the side of the content. The big stuff, the duplicate content's big. We had some issues with not being able to crawl the website. But now we start getting into looking at the site health issues. And these warnings are great because this is how you move the needle. This is the site the website's telling us, hey, 28 of the pages don't have meta descriptions. And that's okay, right? I mean, Google doesn't look at them as much as they used to. However, it's good practice and it's good effort. And this is an easy fix, right? We have to write meta descriptions for the 28 pages. So Stand & Stretch, as a service provider for search engine optimization services, we would go through and we would write unique meta descriptions. Fixed, done. Guess what? Your site health went up, your SEO went up. The competitiveness of those pages, those 28 pages that we've put together unique content for, that were the keywords that were structured into the places that we needed them to be structured in. Now we have better results on search engines. You'll also notice the next one, low text to HTML ratio. This isn't as complicated as it sounds. This just means that there's not enough text on the page, and Google's saying, hey, look. And when we talk about keyword density, we're looking for results. We're looking for a very simple formula. We're looking for something that says you have 7 solid 2-word phrase keywords that are representative of 3 to 7% of the text on the page. And how on earth can you get to that density, which means keyword per block of text? How many times is that keyword presented in that? And sometimes it sounds like keyword stuffing, but it can be done, trust me. But how many words can we put into 50 words in a paragraph? We really need to bolster this page up. And these low text HTML ratios can cost us add-on services sometimes. And I know Stand & Stretch will charge additional services to actually write copy for websites that makes sense, that adds to the value of those pages. And now we're looking at 24 pages that don't have the heading tags. And this is also a very supporting search engine optimization, because if you had an H1 heading tag and you used a keyword or structure of the page that was part of the campaign, or growing that keyword, whether it's a service page, hair salons, Columbus, GA, a heading would be, we're the best hair salon in Columbus, Georgia, right? Or check out our services in our hair salon, which is a keyword for hair salon, which is great. And as you go down that list, you'll see a couple of other big markers. The biggest one is the bottom from the top. The next one from bottom is the sitemap.xml. It says it's not found. Uh-oh. In any kind of issue, having Stand & Stretch do a site audit immediately and looking at all these things and saying, hey, look, your sitemap's not even correct. That's a big issue, because if your sitemap's not right, then Google doesn't really have a map to visit your website with. And imagine Google trying to have to go through each one of your pages. They will, trust me, but they want to see that sitemap. It's another check in the long list of granules that are needed for good search engine optimization. So, does anybody have any questions so far? I know we're picking up more people as we go along, which is great. We're now talking about site health and how big of a deal it is for your website. Without site health, you are going to be in a position of not being able to produce a viable result, not even just for showing up on Google result pages, but also for any Google AdWords or PPC advertising you're doing. Things we're talking about today help increase your quality score and also your ranking on search engine result pages. So, site health, big. So think about how many pages you have on your website right now today. 10? Cool. Easy fix, right? Hundreds? Thousands? Imagine if you were Amazon.com and you had poor meta descriptions for all of your products. How much time would it take for you to now clean up your website and get it ready for Google? And by the way, I think Amazon and Google sort of have a relationship there. So I think they just pipe their information right in. Not sure about that, but when we do our site health audit, we also look at these images. You'll notice down here, one image doesn't have an alt attribute. Just to kind of talk on this, and to be sort of in that ADA compliant scenario, if you can think about all the people who are visiting your website today, you would probably sort of be interested to find out that sometimes disabled people visit websites too. And when we talk about this in an instance of this might be either blind or deaf people who are coming to your website, and in a world where they can't see the website, this is a tough environment to be designing websites for impaired people. But at the same time, things like images not having alt attributes can leave someone who has in a disabled scenario not able to navigate your website. And just like you're supposed to have a ramp up to your business because the law says so, you have to have a ADA compliant entrance, you have to have an egress, you have to have all these fantastic things if you own a building or build property or permitted for. Websites don't have that same permit process. So when I see stuff that says, images don't have alt attributes, I get sort of like, okay, well, nobody thought about making this compliant for disabled people who might visit the website. That means that this site might not be optimized for even further than site health and search engine optimization. Clear usability might be an issue. So site health and warnings. Now let's just talk about no meta descriptions. And as I mentioned, even though they don't have a direct influence on rankings, they're used by search engines. They display the page results, and if you go type in anything right now, you'll see those results. Now, when you use a good description, you can increase the keyword density, as I mentioned. If your page's meta description is missing, search engines will usually display its first sentence, which may be irrelevant or unappealing to users. And I think you might have seen this sometimes. If you do a search for something and they do not have a great search meta description typed in, you will normally get a googly glop of the page content that matches or looks like the content that was searched for. Sometimes this makes for a bad experience, because what you really want someone to see is the title of the page, which means I want this service to be there, Hair Salons Columbus, Georgia, and in the meta description you want it to say clearly, we are the best hair salon Columbus, Georgia, right? You don't want it to say random stuff that's being pulled from the page and kind of stacked into that description area. So just a little talk about that. Cleaning it up, site health, making things more appealing for Google and for the user. It's all sort of the same thing. Now, site health, we're going to talk about backlinks very briefly. I could do a whole webinar on backlinks and really just talk about site health backlinks as a 4-hour-long podcast and webinar. Now, what is a backlink? It's basically somebody who is linking back to your website. So I write a blog post today about hair salons in Columbus, Georgia, and I link back to this website, and that is technically counted as a backlink. Now, the most incredible thing about this is most of your websites, if they've existed for more than a year or two, probably have some type of what we call algorithmic or automatic backlink service out there. Most of these websites originate from China or Russia, and they are used to basically backlink and build these networks of people who people might pay for backlink services, and so you might see this kind of service be out there. And some of the sites that are listing websites out there might also exist as a backlink, like YP, or you might see like Glassdoor, Yelp, other websites that connect to you would also be a good backlink, right? So all links pointing to your domain and their quality provide ways for cleaning them up. So we provide an opportunity for you to whitelist these. You can remove them and make sure that they are manually removed by making modifications to the website. And then you could submit through us a disavow to Google, which is fantastic, because you can actually go to Google and say, hey, we know that they're there, but we would like to disavow them. Please remove them from our existence. And then that takes some time. However, it does work, and Google does submit that. What that does is it moves in and out of Google's algorithm and allows you to increase or decrease your ranking with them just by clicking the disavow. So very good information. We do monitor backlinks, and when they get what we call toxic and they have a high toxic score, you can see that here, we normally start to do things about them. And the great thing is that we can bulk disavow. And just to be clear, I said bulk. I have trouble with that word, bulk disavow. That means we can take a lot of links at one time, select all, and disavow them all. So we keep pretty clean accounts. All right, so the second big topic, the big one for us, this is the stuff that I said takes a little talent, takes a little knowledge. Keywords, if you're good with taxonomy, naming, or if you've been in an industry where you've had to categorize lots of big things, UPC codes, product management, things like that, where you've had thousands of products, you get good at knowing variations, adjectives, things. I normally find out that writers are great at keyword research because they are good at utilizing a good mental back end of words, and they can do comparative analysis. They can do research just in their own brain before they reach out to some of the tools that we use. So like I said here, we use over 7 tools. I'm going to mention 2 of them. From volume to keyword difficulty, we can find the words that are low-hanging fruit and the ones that may take some time to go after. If you look at the terms that you might want to be found for, there are some what we call keyword opportunities, and then there are some keywords that have a higher what we call difficulty, keyword difficulty. And so, for example, hair salon, Columbus, GA, has some variations here. Natural hair salons, black hair salons. This is what has turned back the highest volume return of similar keywords in our tool here, SEMRush. And then we also see the keyword density the keyword difficulty by a percentage right there, the KD percentage. And now I can also defer and say, well, wow, look, there is also a CPC, which is cost per click variation there. The idea that I'm bringing this to the table is that we look at keywords as a result of saying, well, okay, hair salon Columbus GA is obviously going to be a very competitive keyword. It's going to be one of the ones we work on every time. However, we don't have a lot of keywords here. Like, for example, that I know that this hair salon specializes in things like dry bar. Now, dry bar is not a very competitive keyword, so that we might go after the low-hanging fruit and start creating content, whether in form of blog post, or we might modify the homepage to include more keyword instances, which is improving the keyword density of those keywords on the homepage for that positioning. Now, at the end of the day, we want to stay focused on how to get number 1 for the most important money makers too. That's a big deal. So keyword research, when it comes down to density and keyword difficulty, we really want to charge after not only just the ones that are obvious, but we help find the ones that aren't so obvious. Now, when we dig in for keyword density, and this is the fantastic thing that I like to talk about with all clients, when you look at a post, it's easy to look at a page or a blog post and go, I can read it. The blog post, the page has context. They have adjectives. It has beautiful pictures. Google doesn't really care about context. I mean, it does in the sense of the readability and how the words flow together. Grammar is important. Stuff like that gets checked. However, at the end of the day, some of the most important things that happen inside of the page on-site SEO are the keyword density counts. And so when you look at what there might be in some kind of consistency, you would look at how to calculate that keyword density. Well, you take the keywords, specific keyword by the total number of words in the text you're analyzing. The best part about our summaries for keyword density is we break them up for all text, which includes all the metadata, all the header tags, all the alt tags for images, which again, like we mentioned, was for disabled visitors. We also use things that are off site. So the key here is that we look at the page and we try to find out, are we in a keyword density zone for the keywords we want to be found for? And do the keywords that we look for, are they represented in the right count and density? So if we're looking at this website and we're going after things that are hair salon, Columbus, GA, I would want to find out and say, okay, well, let's look for that. How many times does hair salon or the word salon in Columbus, Georgia get mentioned in the density charts that I see on the left side? I don't. But the question now is, what does Google think this website is going after? And so I see that from our experience, we want to have 3 to 4% max keyword density, which I do see some 3s and 4s, which is great. But what do you see? If you take a moment to comment in the chat, what are the keywords do you think Google is going to be most preference for helping show this page? Right? Does anybody want to take a stab at it? If you're looking at the keyword density charts, what's the highest one on the 2-word phrases and the 3-word phrases? Right? We're looking at great links extensions. And if you look at any of the other words, you might find that it's not very clear where hair salon is or where that keyword might be defined in its SEO strategy. However, you could see very clearly that they're going after Great Links extensions and extensions, extreme lash, makeup services. You can see a lot of focus of keywords on those. So if I'm Google and I'm looking at this website and my keyword density research is returning the fact that also we have no meta description at the top, which we determined that from a previous site health issue, which is marked as NA right here. We have a count of 205 words, which we really just kind of want 500 with 4 to 7 keyword phrases, which is sometimes the top 5 to 7 here. And we want 3 to 4% max. So when we're doing our keyword research for getting our clients to a maximum search engine optimization position in localized search, we start defining our positions by putting in our goal of what keywords are we going after and how can we introduce them onto pages and get our 3 to 4% max. And I think that's what this is all about. I think that's what we're really looking at, trying to charge into determining our outcomes. So the other the other tool that we use, and this is one of the more fascinating ones, you have to have a Google account, but this tool is called Keyword Research, Keyword Planner. The Keyword Planner is built out by Google AdWords and is a great functioning tool for designing your campaigns around volume and traffic, but it just happens to help us determine what keywords to go after too. If you're trying to find keywords that are relevant for your business, it's great. You can type in your product or service, and guess what? It kicks back some fantastic ideas. Now, once I've got my results, I can export them, and here I am looking at them in a spreadsheet. And I can go, okay, in my keyword planner, I am now looking at words and phrases that are related. And now I can define my average monthly volume, which is 2,900 searches, 6,600 searches, and 8,100 searches, blow dry bar near me. And suddenly now I've got great keywords that I've discovered, and I'm going to start making sure that my website is full of them. Does that make sense? If it does, we want to find keywords that are relevant to not only just your main service, but you could see with this example, which is a hair salon in Columbus, Georgia, we're now looking at not only just adding keywords that have volume, we can actually see how much volume we're going to go after. Now, if you go to the very top of the list, you'll see dry bar, 135,000 searches a month on average. That's at a 12-month average. So they take the whole year, they chop it up into 12, and they say dry bar has been searched for 135,000 times on average in the past, historically. And you notice that blow dry bar, blowout hair, the top of that rank is over 200, 300,000 volume searches. So if we start to include more dry bar instances, guess what? We start to improve the opportunity to increase traffic to the website. So knowing your site's healthy, getting your site to the point where there's no more errors, no more small issues, the usability is there, your quality score for everything else is going up. That's great. Now we go and define the keywords that are going to move your business. And if we're just going after one keyword, which was hair salon Columbus, GA, we might be missing the other search engine optimization outcomes. And so this keyword planner from Google AdWords is fantastic at defining keywords that might be relevant and have other volume traffic that we want to go after. And I've highlighted the ones in yellow that I thought might help out the best here. So here we are, keyword research, on and on and on. And that was just one keyword that created a list of other keywords. Imagine having a company that has 9 different services, right? And in the hair salon, we have makeup, we have blowout, we have everything from men's haircuts to beard trimming, because I have a beard. And so how do you get beard trimming Columbus G? How do we get the people who are looking to trim beards to find our website in organic search? We have to improve our instances of keyword density of the keywords that we find through our keyword research, through the keyword planner, and start putting them on pages where their density is now equivalent to 3 to 4% of the page content, so that Google will at least give you a chance. All right, so I hope this is helping. And we're getting into the weeds here. Raise your hand and say, slow down, Lucas. This is too much. This is too much information. To me, it's very simple, but as my wife continues to tell me, I like to complicate things. So moving forward through keyword research, I think the keyword planner was where I ended up at. Yeah. So we're almost done, and competitor analysis is a great place for us to kind of pull this all together, right? We talked about how websites look, whether we're done by a graphic artist, a web designer, a programmer. We like the attributes of all three, and when you can combine them like we do at Stand and Stretch, you can get some big results. The key thing is that now that we understand that site health is important, it's good to have a site that's built out correctly from the beginning. The keyword research is important, having somebody to have a little natural talent about finding that right keyword, understanding the volume that's attached to it, creating pages and blog posts that have content that's attached to it. Now it's time to get a little creepy or sneaky, whatever the word you want to use. At the end of the day, we've all visited other people's websites. Matter of fact, to some degree, we've all visited other people's Facebook pages and lauded after the fact that they may have one more like than us, right? Okay, we're going to take all that effort that we do, we spend that effort on that, and now we're going to start visiting other people's websites, which is what we do. And when we're engaged in a search engine optimization service, looking at developing better online traffic and looking at that as a goal for the marketing, competitor analysis becomes extremely important. We not only look at the site, but we tear it apart. We reverse engineer it, and we figure out why they're beating you. And then we start to implement some of that into your website. The best part about this is that everything about search engine optimization is public. What other people are doing to succeed, I can see. This is not like baking a pie and then serving it and everybody says, wow, this pie is delicious. What'd you put in it? We can actually look at what goes into that pie. So there's 3 things I want to focus on here: website ranking distribution, position tracking and discovery, and then the green arrows. And if you work with us on SEO, the green arrows become fantastic. You'll love the green arrows. So, all right. When we put the website that we've been talking about up against the local competitors here, you can suddenly start to see, holy smokes, there are other websites that are, and that's my warning sign. So it is 1 o'clock now. So in the visibility, and this should be over in the next 5 minutes, just in case I'm catching people at their lunch hour. You'll notice that the site there that's in 3rd place, we've brought together the information that we have today and said, okay, well, if we fixed all that stuff, would we have better ranking distribution than the ones that are winning here? And we have chosen 8 keywords. So in those 8 keywords, we see that the one on top is 61% more visible than the other websites. That's because their SEO is better by any chance. The high positions in these search results come back from a better site health. They look at better keyword structuring. They have better keyword density in their pages. And now we're going to talk about why and how that is. We'll look at a couple of things. The the keywords from the most current SEO tracking campaign within the chosen location shows who's getting the most traffic. So this one on top is obviously winning. But if we fixed all these things and we've got better keyword density, could our test site sneak up and get above the rest? That's the answer to that is yes. Okay, so we've got a little bit of that sneakiness. We've looked at that, where everybody is sort of in the rank of things. Now we're going to talk a little bit about position tracking. So this is literally, if you take any of the keywords you want to track, and as far as keyword research, we would obtain 8 to 100 keywords that you want to score well for, right? So that would be everything from, if you're into plumbing, it would be water heaters. It would, if you're into, hair salon, it would be, hair, getting nails done, things like that. We would want to have a slew of keywords, and then we'd want to put them up against your competitors. And during this position tracking, we would literally be able to see where you are on the page rank from an unbiased Google search, which means doesn't have the normal cookies that represent your tracking, your demographics, your retargeting. That search would be, I am number 7 on Google search results for hair salon, Columbus, Georgia. I am number 13 for Great Links extensions. I am number 67th. And if you're number 67th on Google, that means you're on page 6. And do you get found? I don't think so. You got to really want to hunt that person on page 6 of Google. So our goal is to get you from page 6 to page 5 to page 4 to page 3 to page 1. Right? And so our position tracking that we do, our competitor analysis, we actually watch as our changes to site health and keyword density, changes to search engine optimization that our programs put together. And we watch you go from a 67th position, and we watch that float up. You see this little green arrow over here, ranking change? This is from Stand and Stretch's search engine optimization, and I'm going to show you how we've done our own search engine optimization and why we apply those principles to all of our clients, because we're number 1 for all the keywords that we want to be number 1 for, which is fantastic. But at the end of the day, position tracking becomes the art of watching the green arrows. So if you look at who's gaining the most business, I'll leave you with this, the competitors analysis here. You'll see our stretch across the top of people who are competing for some of the same business we are. And you'll notice this little slew of ones all the way across the top here. Marketing agencies, web advertising, retargeting, advertising. When you see these little green arrows going up, that means that we're getting more traffic than the other person. When you see these green arrows going down, you can see that these people are losing traffic and they're falling behind. And when you're getting your site health up into a good position, and when you're getting the right keywords on your website, and you're doing the right keyword density, and you're doing the right structuring of that page, and you're doing the right campaigning for your keywords, you too can be number 1 right now. And just to kind of leave you with the last stat, Google search results are pretty smart, right? So when we look at the results, we have 3 different independent places to look at. Those 3 places being noted by the advertising, which is Google AdWords, and we've all seen them. They're at the very top. Then you have the local pack, which is that little square thing that's always in the middle, linked to sort of the map, if you see it structurally. And then below that, you have the organic results. The last stat that I saw coming from Google was that 66% of the people who visit a Google search engine result page still click on the number 1 organic result, which means that if you can get your website to the number 1 position, you can score almost 2/3 of what I call high quality traffic, high quality leads from the search engine result pages, and grow your business. If you're not, and by not meaning that if you don't have a number in any one of these competitor analysis position tracking positions, if you have a dash and you're not even there, you're not even on page 10. You're not even close to being in that position. And so what's next? Get your website a site audit. And today we're offering everybody on the webinar a free site audit. So please reach out to me afterwards and let's get a site audit done, because you need to know what's going on with your site. Let's learn about the platform you're using. Most of us are using WordPress. It's just a good tool. When I talk to entrepreneurs, it's important that not only do they understand how to use QuickBooks or their accounting software, they must learn how to use the software that runs their website. It is imperative. You also must know the traffic. I call it the digital dashboard. If you have your profit and loss, you need your digital dashboard, and that is your how much site traffic did you have last week, this week, is it up or down, how are we improving our site traffic, because it is a definite correlation to business in today's market. Play around with all the tools that I mentioned. SEMRush.com, SEMRush.com is fun. Understand, follow the three principles, understand the structure, know the keywords, and watch your competitors. I think if you put that into any play, it's good. We just applied that to search engine optimization and found a great solid way to get good results. And then repeat. Put this on your calendar, Google Calendar, and do it. Give it a solid hour and make sure you do it. You're going to get some good results out of that. So thank you very, very much for your time today. This is our 12th edition of the Sit and Learn webinar series. We're going to have at least one a month, and I appreciate your time. Any follow-up questions, answers, anything you want, just ask or send an email to info@standandstretch.com. This will be posted up on YouTube for later playback. So if those people who were on this fell asleep, you can always go back and play it again on YouTube. But for now, I'm signing off. So thank you all. I appreciate your time. Looks like we had a lot of good people, over 12 people at one time. So I appreciate your time and effort for showing up. And thank you for your lunchtime. Bye-bye. Have a great day.